Hello lads and lasses, Tier III Plays here, and today we're going to be doing another tutorial for another Soviet warship, since it's mostly the Soviet nation I play. And no, before you ask me, I am not Russian. We're going to be taking a look at the Tier III Russian battleship, or Soviet, Gangut. Gangut, which is Russia's first Dreadnought, and also named after the Battle of Gangut against the Ottoman Empire. Of these ships, 4 were built: Gangut, Sevastopol, Petropavlovsk, and Poltava. And they all entered service during World Wars I and II, and obviously the Russian Civil War. They were all unfortunately scrapped in the 50s, but they did play a major role. Gangut in particular played a major role during the offensives against the Germans during World War II. And for those of you that don't know, or lack the naval history about Russian ships, which I personally have, Gangut is a Baltic battleship design. Now, a Baltic battleship is obvious when you look at it, because if we go onto the armor real quick, it has an icebreaker, which is common for pretty much every battleship that was designed for icy climates. Now, the Ganguts were all built in Baltic shipyards. Pretty much one of them, actually 2 of them, were built in a Baltic shipyard in St. Petersburg, and the other 2 were built in the Admiralty shipyard in St. Petersburg as well. They served throughout World War I. Mostly was the destroyers that the Russian Navy had that did most of the work, since most of them were either chasing the Ottoman Navy in the Black Sea, Paratsia Maria, or just sitting in the Baltic waiting for a mutiny, which was pretty much the case for most of the Ganguts. Now, Gangut itself has a lot of history with its commander I have equipped, and I equipped the commander not because of historical significance, even though Mikhail Kedrov did serve upon Gangut. He also was involved in evacuating Sevastopol. Now let's take a look at the commander. We have Paulo de Revel as inspiration, because he has time is of the essence, which quickens the reload time of your battleship's main guns. Then we have Andrew Cunningham for concentrated devastation, which increases shell grouping of your battleship's main guns, meaning you can obliterate enemy ships. Then you have Vicious Circle, which increases main battle traverse speed for battleships. Then we have Not One for the Nuisance, which reduces the risk of catching fire or flooding. Then we have Crisscross, which increases main battery traverse speed. Then we have Collective Labor. Now, Collective Labor is a skill I recommend a lot on all of the Russian commanders, because you get an extra damage control party, especially on Russian battleships, because Russian battleships have a very limited damage control party, but it reloads very quickly. Now we have Reaching Out XXL, which increases the maximum range of your main battery. And as for skills here in the Legend category, I wouldn't bother with these 2. I'd recommend going straight for Will to Rebuild, just to get that HP recovery. So that was the commander. Speaking of the icebreaker that we were talking about, let's take a look at the armor. Now, Gangut is very punishing. If you bow tank, it's alright. If you manage to angle, it's a bit okay, but full broadside, well, let's take a look at the reason why you shouldn't do that. Well, full broadside, anything that shoots at that citadel is very powerful enough to make this ship go boom. Now, a true Gangut player, or pretty much anyone who plays the Russian battleship line, would know that the best way to play Russian battleships is to bow tank or angle. I'd mostly prefer to angle. But because of the horrendous turret placement, having 1 turret facing the bow, 2 turrets facing the damn funnel, and another facing the stern, well, good luck. Good luck at angling, because most of the time that rear turret ain't gonna do much. The rear turrets of Soviet battleships will play very well once we get to talk about Sinop and the high tier battleships. Now that was the armor on Gangut. Let's take a look at some of its other skills. One, you can't have a fighter plane or a spotter. You're stuck with secondary targeting, which makes sense because this ship never had a catapult. Then we have repair party 1, 2 charges, and we have 4 damage control party charges. It's not infinite, but if you look at the reload time, 40 seconds. So it's pretty much made up for in that reload time. HE, because most people recommend using HE on this, I don't. 33% fire setting chance is alright, it's actually good. But unless you're doing a fire chance mission, I doubt you would use that. My recommendations, if you want to set fires, go for the British battleships. Nothing else I can say. Armor piercing, Gangut does have devastating armor piercing, especially at tier 3, meaning, oh boy, I'm sorry to that poor cruiser who keeps getting death struck by battleships. As for upgrades, we forgot to mention upgrades. It only has 1, and it has aiming systems. I recommend the aiming systems a lot, because of the dispersion. Torpedo launchers doesn't really matter. Secondary battery firing range, you can brawl with it. Problem is that giant citadel pretty much prevents you from brawling. And pretty much that's it for the upgrades. Nothing much else to say. I mostly got my upgrades and then grinded to I got it out of the box. I got Piotr Veliki, which we'll talk about soon enough. Now that was it for the main tutorial and the historical guide. Now we'll get into the gameplay which I recorded, and it was actually one of my best games on Gangut.
Противника уничтожен. Первая кровь. I owe you one. Нужна помощь. Торпеды прямо по курсу. Торпеды прямо по курсу. Вражеский крейсер уничтожен. Наша команда получила преимущество. Торпеды справа по борту. Торпеды по правому борту. Торпеды прямо по курсу. Торпеды справа по борту. Двигатель большая пробоина. Быстро набираем воду. Неполадки устранены. Пожарная тревога. Торпеды прямо по курсу. Торпеды по левому борту. Наша команда близка к победе. Вражеский эсминец потоплен. Наша команда близка к победе.